What if I were to tell you that your homepage is irrelevant? This might seem akin to the Catholic Church coming out with a statement saying that the Pope is also irrelevant, neither of which in any organization would actually happen in real life. So, how could I make such a abrupt statement as this, make a comment like this? We're going to dive into this here in the eCom Buzz, episode number 2. Here, we ask a question and then we dive into the answer, look at the nuances, and look at the outcomes as how they apply to your website. So, the question we asked this week is what percentage of traffic, your website traffic, lands on the homepage? What percentage is that? The first and most important outcome of this asking this question is that you know this number yourself. This is easy to do in Google Analytics. You can go to a landing page report and it's going to have that page, that home page is usually going to be defined by a slash and then all the other pages below that. Now, that page with a slash is going to have a certain number of visitors, basically people coming from a search engine, for example, and landing on your website or any other traffic source. You could aggregate this together. As far as all traffic sources, you can segregate it out based off of organic or direct traffic. Direct meaning someone just types in your website. Of course, that's probably going to be to your homepage. Now, the question becomes very relevant because as you look at that number, let's say the homepage hits are 1,000 visitors over the past period, looking at, let's say, 1 week. Now, if you were to look at then the total just above that in Google Analytics, it's going to have the total of all landing page traffic for that same period. So the question here is to compare that homepage versus the number of visitors directly above it. And this is where it becomes relevant because, yes, we think the homepage is important, but based off of our research and with the proper filtering or criteria in place, that number is historically significantly lower than we would think it is. Based off of the importance that is put into the homepage, we would be thinking it would be representative at least 50% of landing traffic, if not more like 75, and in some organizations, perhaps even 100%. The numbers that I have seen when studying all of our clients, as well as our website as well, it is an e-commerce enabled website, ends up looking something more like this: 20 to 30%, again, given some proper filtering criteria. Why is this important to know? What seems like the homepage has much less traffic than we would have thought it would have. The reason is we need to be putting proportionate, and that word proportion is very important, proportionate emphasis on these other pages that are getting this traffic. For example, if the homepage is truly getting, let's say 25% is an easy number to look at, of your landing page traffic, that means 75% is going to other pages. Most likely your product display page, PDP, or product list page, PLP, a category page. That's probably where the other roughly 75% is going. There's going to be a few stragglers in there. If you have a content-heavy website, it'll probably be to your blog or other content pages. So it's probably not going to be exactly PDP and PLP in that situation. However, we have 75% of pages that are receiving this traffic are those being properly looked at as much as possible. Now, we can start looking at it in a much smaller segment because we could look at it as far as homepage gets the highest traffic, but then we have product 1 is in the second place, and product 2 gets in the third place, and then maybe you have a category in a fourth place, and another category in a fifth place, right? When looking at it from that perspective, yes, the homepage does get the most traffic per page. However, looking at it in a category of pages review, that's where the PDP, the PLP, some content pages win out. Now, in doing this, there is 2 aspects of a PDP or a PLP. One is per product, right? We have the per product information, the product title, the images, the description, etc. Those are important, don't get me wrong. And those would be on a product by product basis. Our recommendation is to start with the top 5 or 10 products, optimize the heck out of those, come back another month or 2 later, optimize them some more. right? It's kind of an iterative approach, and once you figure out what's really resonating, then start rolling that back down to your other products. Now, again, that's individual pages looking at the homepage versus these pages. The homepage will significantly outrank. However, on the other hand, there is, when looking at a product display page or a product list page as a category of pages, and basically seeing the homepage as its own category, then we have a product display page, a product list page as their own categories. It then starts presenting these potential we start looking at it from a user experience perspective. Okay, what are my customers needing from a collective perspective? There are things like putting a value proposition on those pages as much as possible, making it as big or as bold as possible. Is there systemic things? Are customers looking for questions to be answered about our company and about us page? Are they having trouble, unfortunately, in some cases, even finding out the add to cart button? Looking at the product list page, the quick view, is it actually quick? There's a whole bunch of things that this comes out into that we start thinking about when we think of these as categories, thus getting proportionate emphasis on our optimization efforts. So, a couple of the things I mentioned, filtering, and I want to quickly touch back on this. A couple of questions here that you should be asking as you are looking at these numbers. So, are the homepagers, the people that are landing on this homepage, usually direct traffic? There'll be some SEO traffic, but mostly homepage traffic, mostly direct traffic. Again, people typing in your URL into the browser. Are those returning visitors? That's a big question to answer, because knowing our audience means we might be treating these return visitors differently. In fact, the homepage is likely to become an emphasis on repeat buyers as opposed to educating new buyers. Now, there is a different take on understanding your homepage. Another thing, this is important from a filtering perspective, less on the experience side. Have you excluded your internal IP addresses from Google Analytics for this? I've seen plenty of cases where, again, your whole customer service team is probably typing in directly your URL into the browser. Well, have you excluded those IP addresses? And then finally, as we're looking at this, to wrap this up, are you optimizing the pages that receive the most attention? Again, your product display page, if your SEO is done right, is probably, as far as a category goes, going to get the most eyeballs on it. Is it properly optimized? Are you putting proportionate emphasis on optimizing this? It's going to be at least the same number of hits as the homepage. Again, all products pages combined together, going to be at least the same number of hits, if not double the number of hits going to your homepage. So there is the eCom buzz for this week. What number of visitors are going to your homepage versus landing on other pages on your website? And are you proportionately evaluating and optimizing the user experience for these people?